Start. Sit comfortably wherever you're sitting. Keep your back and neck erect and gently close your eyes. Take your deep breathings. Breathe in deeply and breathe out completely. Relax your body, relax your mind. Let us chant 3 rounds of Omkara. Inhale deeply, inhale. Inhale. One more time. Inhale. Relax and feel the beautiful resonance of Omkara throughout your body for a while. Slowly join your hands, rub your palms. Keep your palms on your eyes. Gently give the facial massage, neck massage. And slowly open your eyes, looking at your palms. All right. So once again, Shubha Sanjay to all of you. Good evening. So as you all know, today's topic is surrender, the path to grace. So we'll understand what is surrender actually. To whom do we surrender? How to surrender? What is grace? How do we get grace? How grace is important in our life? All that we'll try to understand. But as you all know, before I start anything, this is a Mind and Beyond series in which generally we discuss about something. It is not that just I'm speaking, but because this is online and we can communicate only through the messages, through the chat box. So what is surrender according to you? What do you think? What is surrender? So you can just put your views on the surrender, 1 or 2 lines in the chat box. Some of your reactions, replies. What is surrender? What is grace? Why do we need grace actually? Why do we need grace? All that, whatever you feel, as per your knowledge, you can put that in the chat box and then we'll proceed accordingly. So if you don't have anything to say, you can even, complete faith on universe. Wonderful. Great, Swati. So it's a complete faith on the universe. Blind faith, no doubts. No doubt is correct, of course, but blind faith, not blind faith actually. It is faith. Blind faith is something different. We'll talk about this. Wonderful, but thank you. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll start with 1, 2, 3. 3 small stories I'll tell you. In fact, 3 small situations. And then we'll proceed further. Okay. I think some more people are joining one by one. But anyway, acceptance to something we like. Yes, accepting something we like. Okay. This also, yes, one of the answer for surrender, accepting something we like. But surrender is, we have to accept something we do not like also. That is surrender. Anyway, we'll understand what is surrender. Okay. So let me tell you one small story. We'll start with a small story. A small, one situation actually. Just imagine what I'm going to tell you now. Imagine a situation where there is a small child of about 2 to 3 years old and there is a table on which that child is trying to climb. A 2 to 3 years old child tries to climb on the table on which that child is not able to easily climb actually. So it does all the circus. It looks from this side, from that side, from other side, this side, try to jump, try to keep leg on something and try to climb a table on which it is not easily able to climb the table. Now father of that child from little far, it is looking at that child, what this child is doing. Now this child is becoming very irritated because that child want to get on this table, but it is not able to get on the table. It is trying its level best to get on the table. It is getting irritated. By looking at these acts of the child, what the father is doing actually, he's enjoying the act of the child, because when you can just imagine a small child, it is trying to climb the table, it does all it kinds of circus, whatever it can do. And we elders generally we enjoy whatever the child is doing, right? So the father is looking at the child, enjoying everything, smiling and laughing and just enjoying what the child is doing. Finally, when child has tried its level best from all the angles to climb the on the table, it could not climb on the table. Finally what it does is, out of frustration, out of irritation and all that, it just looks around and he sees father is there. Father looks in his eyes, he looks in father's eyes, and there a kind of silent communication happens. Child does not say anything, father does not speak anything, but a silent communication happens between a child and father. Silently the child is saying that, father, now I am not able to climb the table and I want to climb on the table. And father looking at child says, don't worry my child, I am there. And after this silence communication between the child and the father, father comes, it picks the child and keeps it on the table. And the child, it becomes happy. Wow, I'm on the table. This is a beautiful example of surrender. Now you can replace this child with yourself and father with God, or that energy in whomever you have the belief. It can be some God, it can be some Devi, it can be Mahavira, Buddha, Jesus, Christ, Krishna, Rama, Shiva, Parvati, or whatever. Or it can be just this universal energy in which you have the belief, or this whole universal energy which is running the whole show. Just replace child with you or us and father with the God. This is surrender. When you try your level best, the father standing there will just see whatever you are doing, keep doing it. That father is enjoying whatever you are doing. You also try to enjoy that. But when you cannot do something, when you cannot get something, when there is no way out, then you completely surrender, and God is always there. He can just bring you out in a pinch of this thing. This is a complete surrender, and this is what happened in the case of Draupadi. If you all remember the case of Draupadi, when she was unrobed in the midst of the Kuru dynasty, in that Sabhagara, when Draupadi was getting unrobed by Dushyasana, she asked help from her husband first. All the 5 husbands, all the 5 Pandavas sitting there could not do anything. She begged all the elders of that family, Bhishma Pitama, Dronacharya, Dhritarashtra, and all other, Kripacharya and all those elderly people. Nobody could do anything. Everything this was happening, and he was continuously pulling her sari, and she was strongly holding that sari, covering her the dignity and everything. She was tightly holding that. Nobody could help her, and she was also calling Krishna, now you can come, now you can come. But she was still holding the sari. She was still trying her best to protect herself. Until she was trying to protect herself, Krishna did not appear. Krishna did not appear till she was holding her sari. And finally, when she completely lost herself, and now she realized that now she is not able to do anything, and she just opened her hands and said, Krishna. And not even a fraction of a second it took Krishna to come. And after that, what happened is a history. We all know what happened after that. This is surrender, a complete faith when you cannot do anything, when you cannot hold on, when nothing is there in your hand, and when you realize that now I cannot do anything. The moment you completely 100% surrender to that power, that energy, it can be anything, as I said. When you completely surrender, you get what you want in your life. These two are the beautiful examples of surrender. Till you try your best, you keep trying. You may get, you may not get, need not get, disappointed by anything. Keep trying. This is what our, nature is. As human beings, we always keep trying. We always keep trying to come out of all our problems. But when something goes wrong, and when you think that there is, the situation is not under your control, the only one thing which can save you is surrender. And when you completely surrender, you get the grace of God or the grace of Guru. And grace is very, very, very important in your life. Without grace, most of the time, we cannot do anything in our life. We cannot get anything in our life. It is only the grace which can, make us climb the biggest mountains of the life, or the biggest oceans. We can just jump from one side to other side, only and only by grace. We are suffering. We are going through all the hell of life. We are facing all day-to-day life problems only because we do not have this, bit of feeling of surrenderness, or we are not surrendering ourselves to that energy which is running this whole show. Let me give you one more example of faith. When in the Ramayana, the Rama and the Kapi Sainya find out where is Sita. They find out that the Sita is in the Lanka. And they all came near the ocean. Now, they had to go beyond the ocean, and they wanted to build a bridge for that. Everything was set, everything happened. And finally, they decided that they'll write the name of Rama on the stones, and they'll throw it in the ocean, and that stones will float. And this is what was happening actually. All the Kapi Sainya, they are jumping, dancing, and then they are bringing big, big boulders in their hands. They are just writing Sri Ram and throwing it in the water. And we all know that all those big, big boulders, big, big stones started floating on the water. And the bridge was building. Rama was seeing it at all these things, and he was really actually amused and surprised. What the hell is going on this? They're just writing my name, and just by writing my name, how can a big boulder float on the water? This is against the nature of the, law of the nature. How this is possible? And he thought, let me also try. What is the miracle in this? Let me check. He also took a small stone, wrote his name on that, Sri Rama, and threw it in the water. To his surprise, that stone sank in the water, that drowned in the water. And he was more surprised, more amused. What the hell is going on? These kapis, these, bandars, monkeys, writing my name on the big, big boulders, throwing it on the water, and they're floating. And I myself, being Sri Rama, writing my name and throwing a small stone, but that is not floating. What's the gimmick in this? He calls Hanumana. Hey, Hanuman, come here. Hanuman comes. What, Prabhu? What happened? And Rama, he was annoyed. He was feeling, frustrated and all that, embraced. And he said, come this side. He did not want to, get embraced in front of everybody. So he asked Hanuman, Hanuman, what is this miracle? What is going on here? You people are writing my name on the big, big boulders, and these boulders are floating on the water. I wrote my name on the small stone and threw it, and it sank. It just drowned in the water. What is the, fuss here? And Hanuman said, Prabhu, it is not your name, but we have complete, unshaken, undivided faith in your name. And that faith of us in you or in your name is making the stone to float. It is not your name, but our faith in your name is making these big, big boulders to float on the water. And he finally says, Prabhu, write the name of the person in whom you have the complete faith, then it will float. And he just goes away. And Rama was scratching his head now, what they see. The moral of the story is, it is not the name of the Rama which was making the boulders to float on the water, but it was the, complete undivided faith of these kapis, these Hanuman Sainya, which made these boulders to float. So the moral is, it is not important in whom or to whom you surrender. What is important is you surrender. And when you surrender, believe me, in whomever you surrender, that person or that God will not come to save you. It is your belief which will save you. This is again, we do the mistake. Sometimes when we, worship a god or goddess or whatever, we always think that Devi or that Devta or that God will come and save me. It is not that. We have personified the gods. God is not in that form in which form we worship or we believe he or she is. Right? It is our, a complete, undivided, unshaken faith in that form which becomes savior for us in the time of crisis, in the time of difficulty. I'll tell you one more small story so you'll be able to understand this. Now, too many stories are coming, but these stories are required to understand this concept actually. Okay. So, because sometimes we mistake our faith and we think that God will come and he'll save us. But God, he comes in the form in which we cannot recognize actually sometimes. Let me give you one more example. There was a devotee of Krishna in a small village. He was a Param Bhakta of Krishna, and the whole village people knew that he is a Param Bhakta of Krishna. And he also believed totally in Krishna, and he said that whenever the problem will come, Krishna will come and save me. He had this faith that whenever the problem comes in my life, Krishna will come and save me. And one fine day, it so happened that a flood came in the village. It was so strong flood that the villagers had to leave the place and vacate the village. Now the water was getting up in the village, and people are all running whatever they could take from the home, they were taking and just trying to go away from the village, go to the safe place. And people, whatever they had, vehicle, two-wheeler, four-wheeler, one person came in the car and called this person also. Let us give a name to this person as Gopi. He called Gopi. Gopi, come. Gopi, come. We'll go. The water is rising in the village. We cannot stay here. We are not safe here. Come. But the Gopi says that, no, I'll not come with you. Why? Because I am a devotee of Krishna. I want Krishna to come and save me. He wants Krishna to come and save him. He says, I'm not going to come with you. You just go. Krishna will come to save me because I am a great devotee of Krishna and Krishna has to come. I have complete faith in Krishna. So he called him, hey Gopi, come on, don't be childish, don't be foolish. Come, we'll go. But he did not go. This person could not wait for a longer time because the water was, rising up in the village. So he just went. Slowly what happened is water came up to first floor. He went to the first floor. He was standing on the first floor, and now some people, took the boat and came, because there were still people in the village. They wanted to save everybody. So one person came with the boat, in the boat, to Gopi also, and he called Gopi, Gopi, come, we'll go in the boat. I can save you. Come on, come on, come on. And Gopi said, no, I'll not come with you. Krishna will come to save me. The only one, ಒಂದೇ ಹಠ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ, Krishna will come to save me. Krishna will come to save me. I am not going to come with you. That person also, called him. He begged him, please come. You'll get drowned. You'll die. Please don't be foolish. Don't be childish. Come, I'll save you. But he did not go. Finally, water was rising up. It, rise to the second floor. 2 floors were, completely in the water. And he went on the terrace. And now he's standing on the terrace waiting for the Krishna to come and save him. Finally, government left these, helicopters. And one person came in the helicopter also. Called him, come, hold this, robe. What I'm dropping. Hold this and come. I'll save you. And he's still saying that Krishna will come and save me. I'm not going to come with you. Because I have complete faith in Krishna. Krishna has to come. Even if he's not coming, I'll ask Krishna only why he did not come to save me. He did not go. Finally, the helicopter also went. And he, as the water was rising and he completely drowned in the water, he died there. Now, looking at this story, we may also feel that when he was a complete, had the complete faith in Krishna, why Krishna did not come? He also felt the same thing. He died in the water. He went to the Vaikuntha, heaven, and he was in front of Krishna now. The only one question he had is, Krishna, why did not you come to save me? I had complete faith in you. I worshipped you throughout my life. I did not do anything else. But still, when I needed you, you did not come. Why? And Krishna answers for this. Krishna says, my dear Gopi, not once, not twice, but I came thrice to save you. It is you who did not actually recognize me. First I came taking a car. I called you, come, I'll save you. You did not recognize me. It was me in a different form. You did not recognize me. But still, you're my devotee, and I did not want to, leave you. So second time, I took a boat and I came in the boat. I called you, come Gopi. You did not recognize then too. But still, because you are my, very dedicated devotee, I did not want to leave your hand. And I did not leave, in fact, actually. Third time, I came in the helicopter. I wanted to save you. I called you, come, hold this rope and come. But you did not come. You did not recognize me. What can I do? My dear friends, moral of the story is, when you have faith, when you surrender yourself completely to the God, don't just wait that God will come and save you. He comes in different forms. Like in the case of Gopi. He came 3 times. Only it was the mistake of Gopi. He did not recognize God because he had a kind of frame in his mind that God means this type of person. He has to come and save me. When you're in trouble, when you're going through the hell in your life, when you have a lot of difficulties in your life, whoever comes to save you, whoever comes to help you, sometimes initially it may seem that they are trying to humiliate you, they are trying to, they may harm you, or they are not the right person from whom you have to take the help. But believe me, whoever helps you during that time, that is a form of God. God is coming to you to save you in that particular form. We need to understand this. If we do not understand, if we do not see the God in everybody, we always do this mistake. We should not take help from this. We should not take help from that. We should not take help from these people and all those things. It is just that when you are going through the difficult times, and of course you have to be very careful also. It is not that sometimes people may try to mislead you also, misguide you also. But when you have the faith in that Almighty, He'll take care of everything. When you have the complete faith and surrenderness in the Almighty, He'll send only the positive people in your life. That happens only when you have complete faith and reverence, surrenderness for your beloved ones, or your God, in whom you have the belief. All right. So these three stories are very important. First is, when you're trying, you keep trying. Finally, when you're not able to get something or not able to do something, when you completely surrender to Him, He just comes, and within a fraction of a second, it will not take even a long time. He'll be able to come, He'll be able to bring you out of your problems. Just like that child, just like Draupadi. And it is your faith which works there. It is not that form which you have imagined in your brain. It is your faith. To whom you surrender is not important. You surrender is important. Buddham sharanam gacchami, Dhammam sharanam gacchami, Sangham sharanam gacchami. In whom you have the faith, to whom you offer your sharanagati is not important. You go in the refuse is important. Right? And finally, when it is needed, when it is required, God comes, not in the form which you have imagined in your brain, but He may come in any form. It can be your relative, it can be your friend, sometimes it can be your enemy, in whom actually you think that that person is your enemy, but that person can also come to help you when it is required for you. See God in everything, see God everywhere, and you'll see that the miracles are happening in your life. We'll go even more deeper in this topic a little more, and finally we'll do as you all know, we'll talk about this, then I'll take your questions also, and then we'll do a small beautiful meditation also. So what is surrender? If you can understand this one sloka out of 752 slokas from Bhagavad Gita, this one sloka, if you can understand properly, you can understand the whole topic called surrender. Excuse me. Most of us, we have all heard this topic, this sloka. Karmanyavadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana, ma karma phalaheturvu mate sangostva karmani. We have all heard this. Most of us, we have heard. Those who have heard, read Bhagavad Gita, they have all heard about this. Karmanyavadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana, ma karma phalaheturvu mate sangostva akarman. Right? You have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of action. Never consider yourself to be the cause of the results of your activities, and never be attached to not doing your duty. This is very important. The Bhagavad Gita or this sloka only says that surrender does not mean that you are not doing anything. Surrender just means doing your duty and leaving the result on the God. अपना कर्म करो, फल की चिंता मत करो. लेकिन इसका मतलब ये भी नहीं है कि आप कर्म न करें. कर्म करना भी जरूरी है. The child was trying to climb the table. It was its duty. It has to do it. It is not that God is there, He'll come and I'll not do anything. If that child is not trying to climb the table, father will never come and pick him up and keep that child on the table. This is very important. The child had to do its karma. Once it did its karma completely and nothing came out, the result was in the hands of God, that is the father. Father just came, lifted the child and kept it on the table. The same way, we have to do whatever karma we have to do. Karma means action. Whatever actions we have to take in our life, we have to take those actions. But don't get attached to the results of that action. The God, when the right time comes, you will get the results. And believe me, if you're doing the right things, you will get only the right results. But if you're doing the right things in wrong direction, listen to me carefully. When you're doing the right things in wrong direction, you're not going to get the right fruits. Let me give you one example. I am a healer. I do all kinds of drugless therapies, and more than 40 plus drugless therapies I learned. I mainly practice past life regression, hypnotherapy, NLP, Reiki healing, spiritual healing, hypnotherapy, yoga, pranayama, and all those things. Now, people come to me with the problem which are psychosomatic in nature. Psychosomatic means the problems which are there in the body, but these problems have come from the mind. The root cause of these problems are there in the mind. When these problems are actually psychosomatic, these therapies works 100%. But sometimes when the problem is physical and physical intervention or physicians, doctors, psychiatrists intervention is required, we have to take the advice of psychiatrist also. But generally what happens is, many people come to me, when I talk to them, I really see that this problem is related to doctor. They have to consult a psychiatrist also. I advise them to consult a psychiatrist, but people do not believe at all. Sometimes they do not believe. They say that it is not doctors. They say that doctor cannot do anything. They themselves decide that doctor cannot do anything. And they go to the temple, they go to the priest, they go to the black magician and all those things, blah, blah, blah. So many things they do. They spend lakhs and lakhs of rupees for that. But even once they do not go to the doctor and consult a doctor. Trying their best, but in the wrong direction. They are not going to get the results. And sometimes, clearly we can make out that this problem is not connected with the doctor. Doctor cannot do anything to this problem. This problem has to be healed by hypnotherapy or by, the other methods, whatever we have. It may be healing, hypnotherapy and other things, yoga, pranayama and all those things. These people do not believe in these things and try to solve that problem only through doctor's intervention or through the doctor's medicines. Again, they are trying their best, but in a wrong direction. So when you approach in a wrong direction, you cannot get the right results. This is what generally we do. This is one example. This was one example actually. But like this, we have many examples where we try our best to come out of our problem, but in a wrong direction. And that is the time when you need a right guidance. And the right guru or right master or a right mentor can give you the right guidance. This is what is very important. So karmanyavadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala heturvu mate sangostu akarmani. You do your karma, you do your actions. This is required. If you don't do this, you are not going to get anything. Do your karmas, but don't get attached to the results of that karma. If you're doing the right thing, you'll get the right thing only. But don't get attached to that. You'll get whatever is written in your fate or whatever is, destined to you. That doesn't mean you should not do your karma also. You have to do your karma. So do your karma and relax. Rest, leave it on God. That is what actually the right approach or right way of surrendering. You're doing your duty and then leaving the result on the God. So there are three ways to lead the life. This will, make that what I spoke now more clearer. Leap of faith. Yes, Maithili ji, namaste. Vishruta, leap of faith. Yes, I'm just seeing what are the chats. Okay. So let us understand this. There is a small video also on this topic in the YouTube. I put it on the YouTube. You can just search three ways to lead life. So what are the three ways to lead the life? This slide and the next slide will talk together. The first is God is at work. God is at work. That means accepting the life in its totality. That means whatever comes in your life, you completely accept that. Somebody said that time, blind faith. Blind faith. It is a faith actually, not blind faith. You accept everything. If you are in trouble, Shivanichepa, nanin madakagatte. If you are happy, Shivaniche, I am not responsible. God is at work. God is doing his duty and you completely accept whatever is happening in your life. Total acceptance. Examples are, the Bhakti yogis, Mirabai, Sant Tukaram, Bhakta Kumhara. We all have these examples. A complete surrenderness to their deities in whom they had the belief. No second questions. Mirabai was given poison to drink. She just drank it without a second thought. Bhakta Kumhara, when he was, in Bhakti, when he was dancing and on the mud, his child comes and he, without seeing that child, he just crushes the child also in the mud. And finally what happens, we all know that story. The child again comes back alive. All this. But that kind of devotion, is it possible for all of us? Can we really completely surrender to the God and whatever happens, we can accept that? Generally with us what happens is, whatever good happens, we accept everything. But whenever suffering comes, we cannot accept that. Ayyo, why this pain? Ayyo, why I have this problem? And we keep complaining. So we cannot completely accept life in its totality. In whatever it gives, pain, pleasure, happiness, sadness, everything, all the opposites of life, when you can completely accept God is at work. This is one way of leading a life. Second way is man is at work, taking complete responsibility on our shoulders. The examples are Ravana, Vishwamitra in the olden days. They thought it is only me who is doing all these things. Nobody else can come in the way of my, this thing. And they actually achieved many things. Vishwamitra could create his own heaven, separate heaven. We have those all stories, the symbolical stories in the Puranas. Ravana just won all the, three lokas. He had that power. This is possible. It's not that it's not possible. It is possible. But in this, what happens is, when you take the complete responsibility, in other words, you're taking all the headaches of everything. Whatever goes wrong or right, you're responsible for all that. In this also, when everything goes right, constantly you will have a kind of fear. If something goes wrong, what will happen? And this fear was always there in the mind of Ravana also, Kamsa also. We all have heard all those stories. Constant fear will be there. And that fear will, create stress and all kinds of psychological, psychosomatic problems. So when you have complete faith in yourself, that is also good. This is also one way of leading a life. But in this also, you have a lot of, headache, a lot of bondage, a lot of kind of weightage on you. which will be again very difficult to lead the life. The third way of leading a life is you work with the concern or support of God, working in partnership with God. This is a kind of middle path. Buddha's path was always middle path. My path is always middle path. I always say don't go to any extremity. Just choose the middle path, and this is the middle path. You are working, you are deciding what you want in your life, you are working towards that. If you are getting that, you offer your gratitude to your Almighty or God, and even if you do not get it, you accept. Because now you think that you are working with the concern or with the support of God. I want this. I want to build a house, a 2-story building. For that, I start working. I buy a site. I hire a builder, constructor. I give all these materials to that person and all those things. And if I build house with the complete concern, God, I'm doing this, and please support me. You're there with me to support this work. But I completely surrender to God also. I keep working. If I can construct a 2-story building and I'm staying in that building happily, I give credit to God. God, because of you, I got this. If something goes wrong, if this thing is not happening, if this is not manifesting, still I completely surrender to the God, and I tried my best. I could not get it. Now you do what you want to do. And who knows, in place of this double-story building, you can get a bungalow also. Right? So this is a middle path where you are deciding what you want in your life. You are working on that, and you are taking the support of God. Support of God is what? You surrender to the God. God, I want this in my life. You please, with your power or with your help or with your support, let me or give me that strength to fulfill or to accomplish this task in my life. So when you have faith in God, you start working. If you succeed, you'll be happy, you'll accept that. If you do not succeed also, you'll think that it is God's wish. God wants something else. God has something else, something better than this in His list for you. And this is the best way of leading a life. Do your duties, leave the result on the God. This is what Bhagavad Gita says. Let me take the next slide also. Types of surrender. These are the 3 types of surrender. The same, the first slide and this slide. Devotion is first, the bhakti, Sant Tukaram, Mirabai, Bhakt Kumara, what we have. Complete devotion. Whatever God gives, I am with that. Whether it is pain or pleasure, no complaints at all. Even if you have the pains, no complaints. Why do I have this pain? Why do I have this suffering? No complaints at all. Whatever suffering you have, you just accept happily, joyfully, with a smile on your face. That is complete surrenderness. That is the Bhakti Marga. And the second is complete belief in the self. The example as I gave you, Ravana and Vishwamitra and other many like Kamsa and all those. Hiranyakashipu, Kamsa. These are the people who believed in themselves. They thought that they themselves is the God, and they actually, by that belief, they could create many things. They could win the whole world. But finally, because of that constant fear in their mind, they also created the end of their life by God. So this is a second, kind of surrenderness. Surrendering to the self completely. This is me and me and me and only me who can do anything and everything. And third is belief in the self and faith in the God. The example for this is Rama and Arjuna. Rama was a warrior, right? He had faith in God also. He was doing everything. At the same time, he fought to get what he had to get in his life. maybe for Sita, maybe for his kingdom and all those things. Arjuna, he had complete faith in Krishna. At the same time, he had to fight. He got the guidance from the Krishna and he fought his war. And he won the war. So this kind of a middle path. You have belief in the self also and a complete faith in the God. This is the right way of surrendering. According to me, this is my understanding. I'm telling you. It's not that this has to be true or only this is the way or this is the right thing. But my way or what I have understood by surrender is have belief in the self and also have the faith in that Almighty. I'm doing this, and as I have told you many times is that when I sit here to preach something, to talk about some topic, of course I prepare, like the PPT I have prepared. I have some rough notes also about this. All that I do. But when I sit here, before 5 minutes, I just sit on my chair, I close my eyes and I completely surrender to that Guru within me. And that again, Guru and God, everything is within us only. This is what is my teaching always. Everything is within us. I surrender myself completely to that power, that Guru within me. And I request that Guru to just flow through me. I just request that Guru to make that wisdom, that knowledge flow through me. And now I am not responsible. I am just doing my duty. I am doing my karma. I want to convey this message to the people, whoever is joining with me this evening. And I did my work, I said. And when I completely surrender myself, the knowledge just flows. It just flows sometimes. So, this is a right way of surrendering. Okay. These are few questions you can ask yourself. Can you compromise? Sometimes when it is required. Can you compromise with few things, with few situations, with few people? Can you let go of having to make everything just so or even make it perfect? You want to make something perfect. But can you sometimes let go if this is not happening? Chalo yaar, jaane do, chhod do, bitpidana, hogi, aagta ilwala. Let us leave it. Can you admit that you are not right? Or do you have to be right all the time? Sometimes you may commit some mistakes. Can you just admit that mistake, that you are not right? It is not necessary that you have to be always right. Sometimes when you're wrong, sometimes when you're not right, can you admit, can you accept that? Can you be spontaneous, or do you have to plan everything and get upset if things don't go as planned? Sometimes we have to be very spontaneous. You have to take action or you have to take decision at that particular time. Sometimes the situation comes when you are not able to plan something. You plan something else, and at the last moment, this generally happens when you go to the doctors. When you take your beloved one to the doctor, when that person is not well, you go him, he checks it and he says that now urgent operation is required. You had not planned this. You just thought you just want to go get checkup done and come back, take some medicines and come back. But suddenly doctor says that he has to undergo operation immediately, otherwise something may happen. Now in that situation, you have to take the decision right there. Can you be spontaneous at that time? Can you really take the right decision whether you have to go through the operation or you want to take the responsibility? No, we do not want the operation. We'll go for the second opinion, whatever. You have to be, spontaneous at that time. Can you be spontaneous? Right? Do you get upset when you don't get what you want? So what you want, when you do not get, do you really get upset? And if you are getting upset, why? Because we do not understand what is the problem. The master says, we don't understand the problem, and that's why we can't find the answers. David Hawkins, He's a philosopher. He says that we don't understand the problem, and that's why we can't find the answers. When one door of happiness closes, another opens. But often we look so long at the closed door that we do not see the one which has been opened for us. Helen Keller. He was again an author and a philosopher. When one door closes, there are many other doors which are opening for us. But we look at that closed door for so long time that we do not see that the other doors are open. I always, on the lighter note, I always say that जब लड़की धोखा दे देती ಹುಡುಗಿ ಕೈ ಕೊಟ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಹುಡುಗಿ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಹುಡುಗಿ ಬರ್ತಾಳೆ and vice versa of course ಹುಡುಗ ಕೈ ಕೊಟ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಹುಡುಗ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಹುಡುಗ ಬರ್ತಾನೆ but ನಾವು ಹೋಗಿರೋರ್ನೆ the one who has ditched you you focus on that girlfriend or boyfriend so much so that you don't see other opportunities around you. Just on the lighter note, but reality. Sometimes when you want somebody in your life or something in your life, and if you don't get it, you focus on only that person or that thing. I want only this. And because we focus on that closed door, the other doors which are open around us, we do not look at those doors. And we actually miss the better opportunities than that. This happens. You can see in your own life or the life around you. Right? So, always see that when some doors are closed for you, there are many other doors which are open for you. Look at the other doors. Don't get stuck anywhere.